Oh, welcome to the Bars Ankle High, by the way.
Welcome to the Bars Ankle High, where we get real anxious about things that we're not supposed to get anxious about, but that's what the meds are for.
And then weirdly not anxious about things we probably should be anxious about.
Yep, that's the ADHD.
Actually, that's a good opener. So is there anything that you're anxious about right now? As like a little mental health check-in?
I'm just anxious about this change at work with my new department. So I just got moved into a new department at work. Like my whole department got moved, so it's not like we got nested under something else that we weren't
It's like an
nested under.
organizational change, yeah.
Yes. So like it's not like I was personally moved or anything like that, but I'm anxious to see how that shakes out because I'll have a new direct supervisor. So we'll see. But
Especially
I
for
think
like
it'll
a
be
job that you're
fine.
just settling into to then have more
Exactly.
changes is stressful for sure.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what I'm anxious about. What are you anxious about?
We are currently prepping to move the baby to her own room. And I'm not like crazy anxious about it. I can just like feel it's like that kind of nervous energy where I'm like trying to make sure her room is like perfect. Because
She'll
I'm like,
definitely judge you about it if it's not. So that's
yeah, she will.
important.
She's a very judgmental baby. So I think just that transition. And I'm not really anxious about. I'm not like overly anxious about it. I'm just like, oh, it's going to be an adjustment, like having her on the other side of the house, and
Mhm.
I'm more concerned about like her having a hard time more than me. But I think ultimately I will have a harder time. But
Yeah, I
I'm
was
like
gonna
looking
say.
forward to it. But it's like a ripping off the Band-Aid thing. Like it's just getting to that point because we're at the point now where it's like it's going to be in the next few days, but we have to get some stuff done in her room before we can do that. So
Well, and it's like the first, not the first milestone for sure, but like the
no, but
first
it's a
like,
big milestone. Yeah.
yeah, it's like the first like real growth thing
Mhm.
where it's like things are definitively changing because she's older. And so
Yeah.
it's like, ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm like,
Am I helping your anxiety?
that helps, right? I'm honestly like, my biggest concern is like fire, that she's just like
Mm.
really far away from us if something happened. Um,
The good news is that it would have to be a nuclear bomb that exploded from inside of your spouse to keep your spouse from getting to that baby if there
that's
was a
basically
fire.
what he said.
Yeah.
We also have like one of those fire ladders like in her room that you just like toss on the
Yeah,
window
yeah, yeah.
out the window. But yeah, it's just like that's probably the only thing that I'm like, ooh, feeling like the most acutely nervous about. But I mean, generally, like I'm pretty good with it. It's just going to be an adjustment.
Yeah.
And knowing that like an adjustment's coming, it's going to be difficult. It's kind of like when I was pregnant. I'm like, I know it's coming. I can see it coming, but there's nothing I can really do in the meantime other than make sure that the space feels like cozy to her. So I'm trying to like spend time with her up there to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
her
yeah.
like a little bit used to it. But it's a really cute room. It's just getting it
It's
done.
very cute. I'm very excited for her little closet, like, space that you guys are
Me
making for
too.
her. It'll be very
Me too.
cute.
I'm really pumped. So it'll be a cute
So,
room. It's just getting there. What do we well, I guess we shouldn't jump on the topic yet. Should we do housekeeping? 30
yeah,
minutes
so
in?
I'm Katie,
I'm Garrett again.
and this is episode 79. And this is the Bars Ankle High, your weekly ADHD podcast that explores life's low bars with wit and wisdom.
If you couldn't tell that it's an ADHD podcast by everything that just transpired in the last half hour, if you're on Patreon. And if you're not on Patreon, join our Patreon so you can see everything that just happened in the last half hour.
And that's the only housekeeping I have. Oh, I have another housekeeping.
Oh,
But yeah, so if you join our Patreon for $5 a month, you get ad-free episodes, you get extended cuts, so you get the life updates and nonsense that normally our editor says nobody wants to hear this, who cares, but it's like more of like a window into our lives.
it's exactly what he
Um
says, actually, just to be clear. I'm cutting this out because nobody cares about this. And I'm like, whatever. But he also tried to cut out Harvey Weinstein's gangrenous flappy doodles. So he can't 100% be trusted, is all I'm saying.
Right.
And now I know why my dog doesn't trust him.
That's the reason. Yeah. But you also get video episodes. So you can join our Patreon and do that if you'd like at patreon.com/thebarisAnkleHigh. And also, we have new merch designs. So you can go to bit.ly/anklehighmerch and check out all our new merch designs. We have a new mug with our new logo, a pen that says "Thank God I'm medicated," and a new tote bag with our new logo, and something else. Oh, a new water bottle, like a reusable water bottle. So all of those are there. And yeah, so this is episode 79. And do you remember way back in episode 35, we talked about sensory processing disorder?
Yeah.
So, as a reminder, SPD is a condition where the brain has trouble receiving and responding to information that comes through your senses. It's not a standalone diagnosis, and it can only be diagnosed in conjunction with a controlling diagnosis like ADHD or autism spectrum disorder. So, SPD can also either cause an overreaction to stimuli or an underreaction to stimuli.
I
But
can't even fathom an underreaction to stimuli as somebody who
so
overreacts to stimuli.
I think though for us, it's like that thing where a lot of ADHDers do really well in like disaster scenarios because we have that kind of like underreaction, like we just
Mhm.
handle it.
I can see that,
Um,
yeah.
oof, my ears are itchy. Not
Yeah,
like
I know.
a
I was just, like,
infestation,
adjusting,
but it was just
you
like
know,
my hair was like
with the
speaking of
microphone.
sensory
Yeah.
issues.
Again, another instance of us covering something topically and thematically. No, I am, like, struggling with my headphones. I need them. Oh,
Um,
dear. I was like, "I need them to be a little bit shorter," and they, like, completely collapsed. And it's like,
we're
that is
doing
not.
great.
We are
Um,
thriving.
so So that would be my example of an underreaction to stimuli.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's also kind of noted by like for folks with ADHD who can be like real extreme thrill seekers. That's pot like like people who like really like they're adrenaline junkies.
Adrenaline, yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's the reason for it, or like it's hypothesized that it's like a sensory processing issue because that's sort of like not the only way you can get a thrill, but like you get such a thrill from it because you have this processing disorder. Anyway, but sensory issues can also make it really difficult to keep up with personal hygiene. And the other thing that can really affect that, especially this time of year for people in the Northern Hemisphere, is seasonal or chronic depression.
Mhm.
So I thought it would be worth discussing because last week we talked about dating. It's worth discussing ADHD and hygiene issues.
Yeah.
So, um, we've discussed executive functioning issues with ADHD before and the depression and how female hormone cycles can screw with our brain's ability to prioritize and act on tasks, including things like bathing, doing the dishes, brushing your teeth, or even just like combing your hair. So every once in a while, I end up in like a Reddit habit. I have the app on my phone, but like there are times where I forget that I have Reddit at all.
Mhm.
And then there's
Yeah, it's, like,
times where,
cyclical. It's almost like
yes,
a ADHD thing.
hmm,
That
weird.
can't be it. No.
That sounds fake. Um,
That's made up. That can't be it.
um, that's a joke for anybody who wasn't clear.
Or any new listeners.
But so inevitably, when I go through this cycle, I see a bunch of posts in various ADHD subreddits about people who are struggling with hygiene and cleanliness issues. So I thought, like, I did some research, but then I thought this would kind of just be like an organic discussion between us.
Yeah.
So for one is dental hygiene. This is a really easy one to struggle with. I know that I struggle with this a lot, especially in the morning when it comes to brushing my teeth, because I don't like to brush my teeth if I know I'm going to like immediately eat or
Or
have
have coffee.
coffee.
Mhm.
So, but I don't usually eat breakfast before leaving the house in the morning.
Mhm.
So the reason I struggle with this is just that like I go to work early. I don't I'm not hungry for breakfast, not because of even my meds. I just don't get hungry for breakfast until like 9 a.m.
Yeah.
So I'm already at work at that point. Um, and it just makes it really hard to like keep up with
Mhm.
that. Um, the standard recommendation is to brush your teeth for 2 minutes twice a day, floss once a day, and use a fluoride or antiseptic mouth rinse at least once a day after brushing.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it kind of sounds like a lot. But
And it can't I think, like, when you say it that way, it does sound like a lot.
yeah, like on top of
Yeah.
everything else I have to remember to do.
I have a hard time with dental hygiene when I'm not leaving the house. Like, if I'm gonna be
Yes.
physically leaving the house, I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah,
the literal only things I'm going to do is put deodorant on and brush my teeth because I usually can't
totally.
do much more."
Yeah,
But if I'm home and I'm not going anywhere or like now, like where I'm home, especially in the mornings a lot, it's just
who cares?
sometimes it's like the afternoon, I'm like, "Oh,
Mhm.
bleh." I
Totally.
know I used to because I also when I was going into the office every day was or most days, um, I kept a full set of, like, dental hygiene stuff in my desk at work because I would, like, sometimes leave and I'd be like, "Oh my god, I was in such a fog this morning, I forgot to brush my teeth," and I would literally remember it, like, 2 minutes down the road from my house.
Of course.
But also, I know, like, when we were mask wearing a lot, I became really obsessive about dental hygiene because I had a mask on all the time and, like, you're constantly in your own breath, like,
Mhm.
when else are you gonna be super paranoid?
Right.
So, I found myself, like, after I drank coffee, after I would eat, I was, like, constantly brushing my teeth. Um,
Was that weird for you to do in the public bathroom at work?
yes,
Okay, because that's what,
there's
like,
just a
stops me
period
from
after
doing
that.
it.
Yeah. I used to, like, try and do it super quick, especially when we were supposed to be masking all the time, I would do it, like, super
Right,
quick, and sometimes there was, like, a locker room in Katie's old building. Sometimes I would do it in there just because I felt very awkward about doing
and
it
there's
at
way
work.
less people in that room, yeah.
Yes.
Um,
But no,
so
dental hygiene's that's a tough one.
and I think also for, like, sensory things, like, it's an easy one to be like, "Absolutely not. I don't like it. I don't like" I think especially with flossing.
Mhm.
Um, but I did see a tip at some point that said to, keep those single-use toothbrush thingies.
Oh, yeah, those little,
Um
wisp things.
Yeah,
Mhm.
either, like, in your desk or in your car or, um, your travel bag or on your nightstand, so, like, if you're laying in bed and realizing, "Oh, fuck, I didn't brush my teeth before bed," you can kinda just do it, and I don't think that those ones require that you spit.
I don't think so either.
So, like, you don't need, like, running water, you can kinda just do it, and it's better than nothing.
Yeah, yeah, and
Like,
that's
obviously.
my attitude with, like, all dental hygiene is, like,
Mhm.
whatever I'm doing is better than nothing. Like, I remember telling my I went to a new dentist, and he was like, "So how often are you flossing?" And I was like, "Well, I don't floss, like, every day, but I floss, like, m most days." Like, I floss more often than I don't. And he
That's
was like,
good.
"Let me tell you why that's wrong."
Oh.
And I was like
Never mind.
I'm like, "Okay, sir, I am not sitting here lying to you like a lot of people do." Be like, "Yeah, I floss every day," when, like, you clearly don't.
Right, like, you
I was
know
like,
the
"I'm
answer to that
making an
question because
effort."
my gums are bleeding
Yeah.
and, like, they're getting inflamed or whatever when you use your water pick machine or whatever.
Oh, water pick. You know what? That's another good thing to work around
Yeah.
if you have an issue with, like, brushing, flossing, mouthwash.
Yeah, we had that, we had one when my brother and I had braces,
Oh.
um, and it was good for that, but, uh, because I have ADHD, I used it for, like, a week and then didn't use it anymore. Um,
Yeah, I have one that I haven't used in a while.
yeah.
I do love it,
But
though.
so I started keeping a box of these wisp things in my desk at work because there are those times where, like, sometimes it doesn't bother me. Like, there it if I don't brush my teeth in the morning and I go to work and I'm working and whatever, it just doesn't bother me. But then
Mhm.
there's other times where I'm like, granted, I'm never in court anymore in person. I'm only there virtually. But even then there's like something about like I just don't want to show up with like rank breath.
Oh,
to
yeah.
court. Like, it
Sometimes
just
you
makes
just
me
sit there and
feel,
you're
like,
like,
more together.
"If I don't brush my teeth right now, I'm gonna scream."
Yes. And
Mhm,
so, having I mean, granted, I also have an office with a door, but having that available to just, like,
mhm.
handle and take care of and be done with, um, is and because if you don't feel like brushing your teeth at the sink in the public bathroom at work, you could also, like, go into a stall with one of these wisp things
Oh, yeah.
and, like, just handle it and be done. Put it in the if you're a lady, put it in the feminine hygiene receptacle,
Mhm.
and, no one's none the wiser. Um
I always found, like, keeping a little thing of mouthwash was helpful for me too. Because like, sometimes
Mhm,
if I ate something like when I used to eat meat, I would get, like, a tuna
mhm.
sub with red onion on it, which is, like, the smelliest food
And then
ever.
did you microwave it at work or
Yeah.
did you
I would microwave it and just put hard-boiled eggs on it, and then just, like but I remember one day my boss coming over to talk to me, and I literally covered my mouth, and I was like, "I stink like tuna fish and red onion, and I can't have a conversation with you right now. Give me 5 minutes, and I'll be right over." And I literally was like, "Let me drink some water, use some mouthwash, and then I will go have a conversation because it stinks."
And it's important to know I started using granted, this was at my dental hygienist recommendation, but and for different reasons, but I started using, the brand in the US is called ACT, ACT,
Mhm.
mouthwash. It doesn't sting, so it doesn't have, and apparently that's according to my hygienist, that is better because it doesn't harden your gums.
Or cause, like, the receding.
Correct.
Yeah.
So if because as a kid, we always, like, had Listerine, but we'd water it down because it's awful.
It's so
Um,
spicy.
it's like turpentine. My mom used to use gold Listerine, like, so old school.
Ugh. What's the flavor? Just rubbing
Gasoline.
alcohol?
Yeah.
Petroleum. That's the flavor. Ugh. I mean, don't get me
But,
wrong, I would be like, "Ugh," when I was done, like, my mouth felt literally like rubbing alcohol clean.
yes.
But it's just so painful in the meantime.
Yeah. It's not worth it.
No, it's so spicy. I did switch over to ACT because I did read that about the gums receding,
Yes.
and
So,
that one's less, especially if that's a sensory thing for you.
exactly, and it's just much better for me. I don't struggle with it, and that's also something that I'll do if I'm, like, in a rush trying to get out the door, I'll just rinse with mouthwash, so at least I have something in the mix.
Mhm, mhm,
Um, but also one time I told my dentist that or my dental hygienist that I struggle with flossing, partly because of the noise that the floss makes when it, like, pops into, like, between the teeth and, like, up into the gum. And, trying to get it down, especially with it, like, regular floss that's, like, fibrous because then it's,
mhm.
like,
Oh, when it
tearing
breaks
between my
apart.
teeth, and
Yeah.
it, like, makes my ears cringe.
Mm,
Um, so and so she gave me these, toothpicks basically that are, um, like, silicone tipped, and you put them just in between your teeth at the gum line,
mhm.
and it's not
Well, yeah, they
as
have that
good.
little, like, fuzzy end on like, it
Yes.
looks like a fuzzy end almost, but
Yes.
yeah.
And, they're not as good, I guess, as, like, regular flossing, of course, but I was using those regularly, and at my next cleaning, she was like, "Oh, I can tell you've been flossing because your gums are blah, 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 blah." And so it was, like, actually working,
Yeah.
and so the brand that I use is the GUM brand. I don't know
Mhm.
if it's an acronym or, like, you're supposed to say gum, I don't know. But if you get, like, a big pack of them, and they come with, like, a travel case.
Oh,
So, I
nice.
have that in my book bag that I bring to work every day so
Mhm.
that I can have some, and I've also started just using, like, Glide floss, but floss at my desk at work because, again, I have a desk, an office with a door. So, that has really been helping me, and I don't know where this started for me, but for whatever reason, I just always thought you were supposed to floss at the end of the day, like, before bed. And I don't know why that was, like, where like, the time of day that task is supposed to happen.
That's always when
Um,
I floss and use mouthwashes before bed.
right. So, like, and I don't know if I was ever told that or if that's just like what my mom did, so that's
We'll
why I
just say
do it
that it was
then.
in the DARE program. It
Maybe.
probably
Yeah,
was.
it was at probably for sure an after school special,
Yeah,
Wishbone told us.
yeah.
Um,
So we have to do it then forever.
but the reality is that that's not a rule. It's
That
definitely
can't
not a
possibly be
law.
right. It's illegal to do it in the morning. It has to happen at night.
Well, so, like, me flossing at, like, lunchtime at work when I'm, like, thinking of it
Yeah.
is, like, just as productive as doing it at the end of the day. Like, I'm still flossing 5 days a week, if not 7 days a week, and, like,
Right,
getting the
like, I
benefits of
floss
it.
more often than I don't.
Right.
I
So
think it's also how often on this podcast do we talk about, like, sometimes it's not doing it perfectly, it's finding a way to do something in a way that works for you. So, like, the regular floss was making your ears cringe, so you found a workaround and you do it, you know, at
yes.
lunchtime because that just works better for you, which is better than not flossing at all.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
the bar is ankle high, as
Yeah.
some say.
And also,
Uh,
you're allowed to be nice to yourself.
no, no, still no on that one. Uh,
You're wrong, that's also illegal.
I'm not deserving of kindness.
Along with daytime flossing.
If you floss when the sun's up, you're essentially a war criminal.
Yeah,
So,
that is how it works, so,
yeah.
I don't make the
Um,
rules, I just enforce and follow them.
but so it was just that kind of thing where I was like, okay, maybe we should like I think it's like it is like what works for you
Yeah,
and getting to that point where like yeah, maybe brushing your teeth first thing in the morning doesn't work, but brushing them at work is better because you're
yeah,
doing other tasks anyway, so having that as part of your task routine rather than like your relaxed time routine is better for you. Like, I don't
yeah,
know. I mean, also, I'm not a dentist, so, like, talk to your dentist, and
yeah.
this is not dental medical advice, but
Don't talk to my dentist because he was very
no,
condescending.
go to my dentist. My dentist is very nice.
Yeah, mine cancels
Um,
my appointments the day of.
that's like
It's happened to me, I can't even tell you how many times. Anyway,
you have the
go ahead.
weirdest
I know,
doctor
I know,
situations every
I know,
time.
I know. I'm aware of it at least now, and I do hate it, but I know.
I don't consent, Katie. God.
I agree. I don't like
Um
it, but it's just how it is.
The next hygiene thing I wanna talk about was showering. So I was like as I was, like, doing these notes, I was like, "Yeah, like, sometimes I kinda get into this funk." It's like you said with brushing your teeth, like, if I'm not going out, I will just, like, fester in my own filth for days on end at home. PK's a lucky man. Uh,
Faster in my filth.
yeah. Are you
Name of the
turned on yet?
episode. Yes to both. And I think showering is tough, because there's so many steps specifically.
Mhm.
I
Totally.
have a hard time I actually like showering, but I have
Same.
a very hard time, especially now because my hair is very long, the wet hair on my clothes and on my neck
Mhm.
makes me wanna vomit a little bit, so,
Whoa.
I have a very hard time with that component of it. So sometimes that's like a deterrent or this time of year, like, getting out of a hot shower into cold air. I'm just a chilly baby, so, it's really hard. It's really hard this time of year.
Um, yeah, I think and there's also the idea of like, okay, well, if I shower, then I have to make a decision about what to do with my hair. Am I going to
Ugh.
leave it curly? Am I going to put product in it? Am I just going to put it in a bun? If I put it in a bun, then I know it's going to hurt at the end of the day. Like my head is
Ugh.
going to be sore.
Am I even gonna
And
wash it? Is it too much for me to wash my hair right now? Do I wanna just wash my bod and my face?
right. So, and then I was like, yeah, I really do get into this funk sometimes. I don't know that I can't put my finger on why. Like, I can't say like, "Oh, it's definitely when I'm kind of, like, feeling a little bit depressed or if I'm overwhelmed, I've got burnout." I can't put my finger on, like, when this happens for me, but I do also sometimes do this thing where I'll, like, turn on the shower and then, like, I sit there scrolling my phone for, like, 20 minutes before getting in the shower.
The planet's like, "Katie, please stop. Please stop
Literally.
doing that."
I don't know what I don't know what it is. It's so obnoxious. Um, but I also was thinking on this and I was like, "Oh, I did this as a teenager too." But what I would do as a teenager is I would, like, bend over the side of the tub and just wash my hair and
Oh,
then,
yeah, I have
like, be
done that.
done with it.
Yeah.
So and I did that for a long time, especially if it was like, oh, I didn't have it's like this time of year when, like, I'm not sweaty, just, like, checking the mail. I can kind
Mhm.
of generally just exist. Then it's like there's no reason for me to shower. I haven't gotten dirty, so, like,
Mhm.
whatever. I can use worst case scenario, I can just use a washcloth with some soap on it and clean my crevices and, like, make sure that I'm clean. But,
Mhm.
like, I used to do this all the time as a teenager, and so, again, potentially some sort of depression thing, probably not, probably more like just a hormonal, like, overwhelm with ADHD and being a teenager and all that, but,
Going to school every day and having homework. Ugh.
yeah, yeah. But, yeah, so, like, it was just one of those things where, like, I haven't really done that in quite a while. I could do it now. I couldn't do it at my last apartment because the toilet was right next to that side of the tub where the faucet
Mhm.
was, but I could do it now, and it is one of those things where I'm like because I also get to the point where, like, if my hair I pretty much have to wash my hair every day or else it gets super greasy, but if it gets to, like, that 2-day or 2.5 day mark, it gets, like, almost, like, stuck to my head, like, it gets so greasy.
And it hurts.
But yes, and then I'm like, it's that, like, girl math of, like, "Well, if I'm gonna do it this day and then go to the gym and blah, blah,
Ugh,
blah," but then I, like,
it's the
won't go to the
worst.
gym if my hair is greasy like that because I don't know, I just have this image of, like, sweating and, like, the grease, like, coming down my face.
I know,
You're
like
welcome, listener, for that imagery. There's no reason for me to think that, but it, like, skeeves me out. I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
what the problem I don't know why I think I have to be clean before I go to the gym, but, like, there's a certain point where I'm like, "Well, I can't do anything until I shower."
Yeah, I used to wash my hair every single day, um, until, like, I wanna say, like, my mid to later 20s. And then I started, like, skipping a day, and now I usually do it, like, every other day or every second day. But I went from, like, washing my hair every single day to being at the point where it's like, I would rather just, like, jump in the shower and wash my body and not wash my hair than to, like, not shower at all or to do a
Mhm.
full shower. Because sometimes that's just, like, less overwhelming for me is, like, I just need to freshen up and I'll feel a little bit better. But sometimes I'll do that to, like, give myself a reset. Like, now I don't have as much of a choice because I do get vomited on still pretty regularly.
Mm.
So there's times where I'm like, I just need to jump in the shower. And I think it's also, like, one of the few, like, kind of self-care-ish type of things that I can that's, like, very attainable for me, like, I can easily do.
Mhm.
Um, but I also the flip side of that is it can get away from me because I constantly have my hair up in a bun on top of my head. So sometimes I, like, don't realize how dirty my hair has gotten or the fact that I can take it out of the bun and it hardly moves,
Yeah.
because it's just been, like, up in a bun and I've just been, like, cycle and repeat every day, and then I'm like, "Oh, I haven't washed my hair in 3 days, and that's why it feels like this, and I feel itchy and I'm
Yes.
uncomfortable." Um, so it's definitely, sometimes I really have to, like, talk myself and I remember saying to you one time, like, my spouse was traveling, I got the baby down, and I was by myself, and I took, like, a long, hot like, shaved my legs and, scrub my exfoliated my skin and, did a hair mask and
I think
all
you
of that
called it a
stuff.
descaling.
Yes. Yeah, I was like, I just feel, like, grimy, like, I felt
Yeah.
like my skin was dry and it's, like, wintertime, and then, I got out and just, like, completely lotioned myself, and I felt like $1,000,000. So I think sometimes I have to talk myself into it because I know, and I do it with a walk sometimes. Like if I don't feel like going for a walk, I literally have to tell myself like, you're not going to feel worse after you do this. What's wrong?
Well, I muted my mic because Sophie PK had to let Sophie into the room, and she's in the litter box, but was uh like the way she was digging around was like so hyper. It was like not just like digging and then like turning to take a huge dump, but like digging and then checking and then like almost like zoomies, like digging again. It's just so bizarre. But I was like muting my mic so that the digging like against the plastic bag wouldn't be picked up, and it just like kept going. So I was like, what is happening?
Sophie's like, there's not a lot of self care I can fit in every day. Sometimes I have to have zoomies in my litter box. Okay.
Oh my god, unreal. She's
Yeah,
still going. Like she really
it's
had to go.
um so sometimes I really have to like say to myself like, you're not going to feel worse if
Mhm.
you take a shower. Like you just need to take a shower.
And usually once I get in there, I um like can wash my hair. Like I can
Yeah.
fathom it. Like
Yeah.
once I'm wet, I can handle it. Um that's rank. Um but it's just like getting into the shower that's the problem, which is how I end up with this 20-minute scrolling situation while I'm like listening to some random podcast and well, I have a podcast on, I'm not listening because I'm scrolling and
Yeah.
not paying attention.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, sometimes I have a hard time sometimes finding something to listen to
mhm,
because again, multitasking. I usually will
mhm.
listen to a podcast when I'm in the shower.
Yes.
So it's like finding the right one that isn't so long that I'm not going to be able to like kind of enjoy most of it, but also isn't
Right.
so short that I'll be done before it's over.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a
No, I
it's a
agree.
struggle.
Yeah,
You know,
so
I think showering, and I almost feel like you need to break showering down into like showering or washing your hair when you're showering, because that is
mhm.
definitely like my spouse will complain about taking a shower. He will frequently say, as somebody with ADHD, I wish there was a shower pill. Like, I wish there's a pill that I could take that would give me like an instant shower so that I didn't need to go through the whole process. His sensory issue was like a body hair thing because he's just like a furry dude. So it's like now I
Mhm.
gotta dry all of the water out of all of this hair.
Mm.
And then I'm like, yeah, but you don't, he has a shaved head. I'm like, you don't have hair on your head. That's worse. And then we have a competition over who has it worse, which is a terrible competition to enter into. But no, it's
Yeah,
definitely, it's not unusual. I think everybody's kind of got their sensory thing, but I do have to like sell it to myself like you'll feel better if you do this. Kind of like going for a walk. You'll feel better if you just go for a 15-minute walk. Get
totally.
some fresh air.
And the other thing that gets me is sometimes, like, using a loofah because it takes so long to rinse out that I'm like, I don't have the patience to, like,
Mhm.
rinse the soap out of this. So, I will just not use a loofah. Like, I will just put the soap in my hands and wash myself with my hands because there's just time like, I don't there's no reason. Again, there's, like, no reason for any of this other than I have neurodivergent condition, but, it helps, like, remove that barrier to cleaning
It's
where
finding a way that
yeah.
works for you. Like, it's funny, like, mentioning, since we're talking about hygiene, we're also talking, like, sensory things. Um, so, like, we've talked about, like, hey, sometimes you're really craving this because, like, your body needs
Mhm.
whatever it is. So, I've been, like, craving citrus lately. Like, literally at the end of the night, instead of having, like, dessert, I've been having 2 oranges, 2 full oranges because I'm just, like, craving them so much.
The oranges are so good this time
L
of year, though.
Like, just talking about them right now, like, I want an orange. So, I have this thing with fruit. Well, there's 2 things with oranges. One is when I was a kid, I had an orange, but it was, like, a really dry,
Oh, those are the
gross
worst.
orange, and
Yes.
I ate it, and then I had this, like, sensory issue with oranges for, like, years. I would eat, like, clementines, or like tangerines, but I would not eat like a navel orange because all I could think about was that dry, gross orange that I got that had like a bad flavor. Um, and it's funny because I'm like eating the orange. I'm telling my spouse this, and he was like, "Yeah, that's normal." And then I realized
That it wasn't normal.
that it wasn't normal. I also, when I'm eating something like an orange, I have to get every bit of that white, like, inner skin off of the fruit to eat it.
Oh, really?
I think it's disgusting.
I'll eat the inside white part of the peel.
Nope. 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 Can't
Extra
even think about it.
nutrients there.
Ugh. Nope. I will sit there. I literally sat there with a big bowl in front of me and my 2 oranges in it and peeled them, and I literally will spend a half hour sitting there peeling every bit of that white skin off because I
So you
just
don't even need to floss.
yeah, I can spend all that time. And I swear to God, like, every little bit of that skin, I took a picture of it the other night, because I just he literally sits there and watches me, and he's, like, horrified at the obsessive, like, peeling. So, yeah, it goes to the list of, like, sensory things. Um, there's certain things that, like, you can't sit next to my spouse and, like, pick at your fingers.
Mm.
He'll lose his mind. I can't stand when he's sitting on the couch next to me, bouncing his foot and it's shaking everything.
PK does this,
Um,
and when we first moved in together, he's better now, but, like, he would like, we'd sit on, like, opposite ends of the couch and, like, have our feet, like, up and touching each other, and then he'd, like, shake one of his feet, and I was like, "I will
no.
literally cut your foot off right now if you don't stop. I am
Yeah,
so not interested in this." And he's like, "Oh, I'm just trying to relax. I have anxiety." I'm like, "I get it. Put your fucking foot on the floor then and do it because there's no
yeah.
way." Like, it's the fact that it's, like, touching me and he's just, like, stimming with it, and I'm
Mhm.
like, "Look, I get it. I do this too. However, I'm telling you to like it's like someone else's stim." So it's like the
Yeah.
most it just
I can't.
it's like oh, it just makes me so
Yeah,
mad and
yeah.
uncomfortable 100% of the time. Like, I
Well, we were
want
talking
absolutely
about
nothing
this
to do with it.
one of the last time the 4 of us got together because the topic of, like, the dogs, like, grooming
Yes.
themselves at night. Are you the one that can ignore it?
I can ignore it, to a point. So, like, I don't like it when the dog does it when she's on our bed, but, like, we'll be watching a TV show and Sophie's at the fucking door. I swear to God, I'm gonna murder this cat. Um,
Makes me feel better about when I was really frustrated at the beginning of recording.
there's too many animals in this house.
Between our 2 houses, there's way too many animals.
Yes. Uh, um, so, yeah, I don't mind. I do mind if she's on the bed and doing it because then it's like we're sleeping and she's definitely, like, getting in there. Yeah. If we're watching a show and the dog is like starts to lick herself, he immediately makes her stop. And I'm like, okay, well, she still has to clean herself a little bit. Like, but
Yeah, I
like,
yell at my dogs that they have, like, 20 hours a day they can do that. They are in a window of time where they can't do it. If I'm deeply asleep, maybe I
I
won't
don't
notice, but
so like my thing is like if we're watching a show, if the dog has been out within like the last hour or two, I don't mind it because I think that that's part of like going out and then settling and then getting yourself situated. Like I don't have a problem with that. The thing that PK really hates is his cat will like make biscuits on a blanket next to us on the couch, but she also will like sort of like suckle on a corner of the blanket as she does it. And he thinks it is the most obnoxious noise. I cannot hear this. I swear to God, there is no noise when this cat does this. Like, this cat is strictly just being a cat here. She's just self soothing. It's fine.
I
Like,
also have no chill with that.
there's just no noise. That's the thing that I'm like, there's no sound associated with this. At least with the dog licking, you can hear it. Like, I can hear it. I cannot hear any noise with this. Mind you, he, like, says that he can hear the cat doing this, but, like, can't hear when the cat's water dish is low and, like, tinkling water. So it sounds like a little spa feature, and it's not. So it's just lies everywhere.
Yeah, it's just funny that you have 4 adults that all have some kind of ADHD going on, and it's a little different for everybody.
It
Um,
really
because
is.
like everything we've talked about, it's all spectrum. And, I know I have definite hangups that my spouse could not be any more oblivious to. And literally, like, my brain won't work if I can hear this. Like, I
Mhm.
can't go to sleep when my dog is laying against my leg, licking his feet for 40 minutes, making a big wet spot on the quilt he's laying on,
I
and
mean, fair.
pushing against me.
Yeah.
I can't.
And
And
I'll
then I have
stop the
a
dog if she's doing that because
yeah.
also the dog sleeps on me, doesn't sleep on PK. So, like
Yep, that would be the other part. Both the dogs sleep curled up on
Mhm.
my side of the bed, so I wind up sleeping like a pretzel.
Yes.
And then every night he's like, "I sleep like a pretzel." And I'm like, "No, the dogs are on my side,
Mhm.
sir. We can
PK's
see
also
where they're
started doing
laying."
this thing when we're sleeping where he'll, like, put his arm that's on, like, my side on the outside of the covers and, like, pin the covers down. So then I, like, get trapped because between the dog covering the bottom of the covers and then him covering the other side, I have, like, no covers left.
Speaking of like bed things, so I had people tell me like, "Oh, after you have the baby, the pregnancy pillow is just not going to be the same thing. Like you're going to want to get rid of it." I'm still sleeping with my pregnancy pillow. I think it is just the most I always sleep like surrounded by pillows in like a pillow tomb anyway. So this is just like this is perfect because I have pillows everywhere I need them.
Mhm.
Because I like to like curl up with the pillow. Um, so I made the bed the other day and I was like, you know, what, it's time. I gotta get this off the bed. Mostly because it's really annoying to make the bed every day because I have to like move it off the bed and it's like
Yeah.
cumbersome. So we get in bed and I said to my spouse, I was like, well, we're weaning the baby from the snoo because we're gonna be putting her in her crib. I was like, and I'm weaning myself from my pregnancy pillow. He's like, why? I was like, I don't know, I just feel like it's time and it's like kind of annoying to make the bed. And he was like, So you've got something that makes it better for you to sleep and is comfortable, but you're weaning yourself from it for what reason?" I was like
Martyrdom. We've been over this. I am a martyr.
"I don't know, okay?" So, pregnancy pillow is back on the bed. I literally he said that and I thought about it and I was like and I got out of bed and put it back on the bed and curled up with it and went to sleep.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
Yeah, it was just like, why are you doing this?
I
Maybe
did
in
put
6
an
months you won't want
extra
it.
yeah. Yeah, I'm guessing when it's hot out, you'll probably be back to no thanks.
Probably.
Um, but I did put an extra comforter on the bed last night because PK also learned yesterday. So when we're recording this, yesterday's like high temperature was 14 degrees Fahrenheit, which is -10 Celsius for our international listeners. I looked it up. The
Very cool.
real feel was 7 degrees Fahrenheit, which is -14 Celsius. Um, and it was fucking cold. But I have
It
our
was really
thermostat
cold.
set to 64 degrees Fahrenheit. I did not look that up in Celsius. Figure it out. Um, but I have it set to 64 and we have radiator heating, which means, if you don't know, that they're heated with hot water.
Mhm.
We got home from like breakfast and running errands yesterday. And PK came in and like immediately went to the thermostat and like turned it up to 67. And I was like screeching, "Are you fucking kidding me? We don't touch the thermostat in this house. Do you have any idea how much it costs to raise the temperature of that much water by 3 degrees?"
Katie turned into somebody's dad, like,
I turned
immediately.
into Walter White on this thing. Like, do you have any idea how much kinetic energy is required to turn up that much water? Blah, 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 blah.
And then suddenly
And
she just goes on a rant, she's like, "I am the one who knocks." And she was like, "I'm sorry, that was too much. I know we were talking about the thermostat, I got carried away."
I was like, "You have layers." And he's like, "I'm wearing a flannel shirt and my jacket." I was like, "First of all, your jacket is also flannel. Um, you have hoodies and slippers
Yeah.
and socks and sweatpants that you could be wearing. Um, go find them and put them on." Like,
Also, what is better?
and
Like,
we
I
have
don't know, to me,
blankets.
being out running errands on a super cold day, then getting home and, like, bundling up in comfy stuff and, like, snuggling up is just like, "Oh, it's the best."
Oh, he just wanted the heat up, and I was like, "I'm not doing this, like, heat up for 2 days and then back down when the temperature, because in a few days, the high temp is gonna be back into the 40s.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not doing this, like, yo-yoing with the thermostat
Does your
because
house get super hot upstairs then when you turn the heat
no,
up a little bit? Oh,
no.
okay.
There's only 1 radiator upstairs, and it's actually kind of chilly up there.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh, that's nice. So when you
I
sleep,
pulled
it's
a
cooler.
quilt, yes. I pulled a quilt, though, out of the basement, which was the comforter I had in my apartment,
Mhm.
and it's from Pottery Barn. It's, like, really heavy duty, thick, and I slept really well last night, probably because it gave, like, a weighted blanket feeling, in addition to, like, being a little bit warmer, and the filling on our duvet is, like, an all-season filling. It's not like a winter only one because
Mhm.
have I cannot commit to changing this duvet insert seasonally. That's why I have the waterproof, nothing can permeate cover on my duvet.
Makes sense, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be doing it either. We
So,
have the same bedding year round.
yeah.
We
So
have those
I
linen sheets from Quince, and they are great year round.
Quint, sponsor us. Oh my god, if you
God,
heard our Patreon episode, you'd be, like, knocking our door down to get us to
it's just
sponsor
the
you.
best. It's the best stuff. I've had a couple people ask me about it, and I just go on a rant every time. It's just so great. But anyway,
Um,
comforter, heavy duty,
yeah,
waterproof.
I put that on the bed last night because I was like, I don't want him to freeze, like, it's not that, I just like, financially speaking, it doesn't make sense to do that with the if we were doing forced air, then I wouldn't care as much, but
Yeah.
because it's radiator heating, and radiators are efficient, but heating that much water for just a couple days
Well, and one of the
is
benefits of radiators is, like, if you get chilly, you can just, like, go like, I'll literally go and sit on one of the radiators and, like, warm myself up, like, warm
mhm,
my hands up, and my butt always gets cold for whatever reason, so warm my butt up or warm my
hmm,
feet up, whatever. Or you can take your sweatshirt, put it onto the radiator and let it warm up, and then put it on.
yeah, which, um, I should remind him that he should do that with his towel because there's a radiator in our bathroom that's, like,
Yes.
super hot,
Ugh.
because it's the first one to get the water when it
Mhm.
comes up from the basement. I should tell him to do that with his towel before
Yeah.
so that when he gets out of the shower, it's, like,
A
extra
warm
toasty.
towel?
Mm,
And that's one of those things when we get back from Europe, and I was like, "If we ever redo our bathroom, we have to have a towel warmer," and we never put one in.
mm,
It's just, like, hard to find a spot for it, but man, like,
yeah,
what a luxury having a
totally.
towel warmer. But yeah, having a radiator in the bathroom, warming up your towel, in the wintertime, a warm towel when you get out of the shower.
Yeah.
It's the greatest.
So,
Tune in for more cold weather tips from a couple of chilly girls.
yeah, so before we started recording, I had my bathrobe actually, like, on, and I looked like, the ghost of Christmas Present from The
Oh, I
Muppet
love
Christmas
that.
Carol.
Yeah, yeah, love that.
And then I was like, "No, I always get kind of sweaty when we're recording because, like, I don't know, I get excited."
I'm sitting
Um
here with a window cracked because I know that it'll get really warm in here, especially with the door closed.
Mhm,
It'll get really toasty in here, so for
yeah.
some airflow, I have the window open.
Um, the only other thing I had about hygiene was actually about, doing the dishes, because for me,
Hate
uh,
dishes.
like, touching, like, wet food, if,
It's
like, it's
gross.
not scraped into the trash or anything, is, like, such an ick for me. Like,
Yeah.
I hate it. I've always hated it. Um, it like, if I can, I will not rinse a dish before putting it in the dishwasher. Like, I'll rinse it, but, like, whatever stays on, stays on, because 'cause I'm not going to engage with whatever is on
It's understandable.
the dish. So,
I'm okay until there's a hair in it, and then
the other
I'm
thing that gets me is when the
retching.
sponge starts to smell kind of moldy because it, like, never comes off your hands when that happens.
Mhm.
So, I switched to Scrub Daddy sponges,
Oh, those are great.
because you can put them in the dishwasher and they'll, like,
Oh, I didn't know that.
sanitize. Yeah.
So
So and they
do you
last
ever I used
forever.
to put mine in the microwave.
Mhm,
When I use, like I don't use regular sponges anymore, but I would, like, take them and spray them with a little bit of, like, bleach and
mhm.
put some water on them, and I would put them in the microwave for a couple minutes, just, like, kill whatever was existing, but I use those, sponge cloth things, like, for our countertops and
Yeah, the
stuff.
Swedish dishcloths.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
put those, like, just in with our laundry, so I'll use them for, like, a few days and then throw them in with the laundry. And then I just air dry them and throw them back in the cabinet. And then I use like a little scrubby pad thing that I just wring out, and I have little dish that it's a little dish that it sits in that's like silicone. It has like a little drip edge on it. So when you set it in there, the water runs out of it,
Mhm.
and drains. But no, I definitely like I really hate dishes. I'll clean the whole kitchen, and I like work my way around and get everything over to the sink, and then I usually do that last.
Mhm.
But I that's one task like I really don't like to do.
Same.
But one like little thing that made it easier that we did, I want to say like not long before the baby was born, my spouse got me some nonstick cookware, the
Mhm.
green pans,
Mhm.
and it makes cleaning up so much faster and easier.
Mhm.
And I'm not spending all this time like scrubbing a pan. Um, and I think that's made it, because sometimes we always used to trade it off. Whoever cooked dinner, the other person would clean. So it was usually 90% of the time, because I love to cook, it was me cooking. My
Mhm.
spouse doesn't mind dishes, so he was doing dishes and cleaning up. But now a lot of the times with the baby, whoever's doing one is doing both.
Right.
So it's made it where like I can very quickly and easily clean up. And that's been a big like one of those, finding a way for it to work for
Mhm.
everybody. And that was like one of the things that made it work better for us.
Yeah. I
Was to
think,
do that.
the other thing that I've started, which I never used to do because I always found it kind of wasteful, but again, you kind of have to bite the bullet when you have to. But I'll put like a layer of aluminum foil on a baking pan so that I don't have to wash it.
Do that in the air
Um,
fryer a lot.
mm, um, and that has been very nice to just be able to like toss out the aluminum
Mhm.
foil and just be done with it. Um, the other thing that you can do if it's like really a problem is to wear like dish gloves or like cleaning gloves. Um, and I also have I don't, so I have the Scrub Daddy sponge and I love it, but I also have a dish brush and the heads are like interchangeable. I think it's
Mhm.
actually from Grove, but I got
Mhm.
it at Target. Um, and that is usually what I use because then I'm like separated from touching the food or whatever, and
Yeah.
it really does help, make it a lot easier to do the dishes. Um, yeah, I have to do the dishes when we're done recording today because PK's been doing the dishes a lot lately, and I feel
I don't ever feel bad about that.
bad.
'Cause I hate it. It's just like one of those things, like, it's kind of like laundry. I'm fine doing laundry. I hate putting laundry away. Hate
I
putting
don't
laundry away. Actually, I don't mind
Yeah.
putting the baby's laundry away. Um, but I realized it was funny, like, you have those moments, those, like, existential moments where you're like, "Oh." I was like, I go and I have this like little tiny room in our house that's like really just like an oversized closet, but I have it as like a little dressing room. So like all of my clothes, shoes, makeup, hair stuff, skincare, all of that shit is in there,
Mhm.
with a little tiny vanity. And that always used to be like very much a um, kind of serene space for me. Like all of my stuff was like very neat and organized, and I had everything out because, I'm like an out of sight, out of mind, difficulty with object permanence person, with my ADHD. So I'm constantly like, if I'm not using something or it's put away, I forget it exists. So this was a way I had everything out and displayed, and organized. And then when I got pregnant and, had a baby, like all my clothes stopped fitting. And so now I like have this room of
Mhm.
stuff that I don't use and nothing fits, and I can't put any of my clothes away because I have my old clothes in there, which I
Right.
don't wanna get rid of, but if I pack them away, I'm gonna forget I have them. So I'm just like, I went in there and it was like, "Oh, this is just a living example of, like, the stage that I'm at in my life where
A
it's like."
museum of who you used to be.
Right, and I'm going in there and I'm feeling a hard time using it because I'm not at that stage right now,
Yes.
full of
Yeah.
these clothes that I don't fit, that are, like, from a different version of me, but I'm still there, but it's a so it's just funny that, I looked at it last night and I was like, "Oh." that's why I've been avoiding this, because this is just
Mm.
like
Yeah,
an example of how my life is right now.
totally.
Which,
Which
like,
is
I know it's
reasonable. Like,
temporary, and, you know, those 2 versions will meld together, and I'll get back in my routine, and I'll be exercising and eating the way I normally do, and all of those things, but it's just, like, I'm so disconnected from it right now that I'm like,
yes.
"Why is
Yeah.
everything a mess?" Like,
Well, and
and
it's
as a trickle down, everything else is a mess. My laundry's a mess, my clothes are a mess, I don't know what fits and what doesn't.
yeah, like the space that used to be like a fun little like reprieve for you isn't
Mhm.
fun. So it's not a reprieve. And it's kind of like um annoying. Like I got
Yes.
it's not nearly the same or at the same scale, but I ordered a pair of jeans because none of my current jeans fit anymore in a good way. Like they're too big for me.
Yeah.
But I ordered a pair of jeans from J. Crew because they were having this like insane sale.
Mhm.
And all the reviews were like, this runs really large. So I was like already gonna order a smaller size, like
Trying to
one
plan
size
ahead.
smaller than what I currently am.
Mhm.
Because I'm kind of in between sizes anyway. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll go one down if it runs large. I can't button them. Like maybe in like another 15 pounds, but like I was like, whoever
Mhm.
said these run large, fuck you.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck. So they're just like hanging on the banister in our bedroom because I'm like, well, I don't want to put them away because I'll forget that I have them and
Mhm.
then end up with all these things. But I do need to go through my closet and like get rid of the things that are too big for me and that therefore I don't wear
Mhm.
and won't wear and have no intentions of wearing again and um like kind of clear out because it's getting to that like cluttered point where I'm like this is
It's stressful.
yes, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, and
because
it's
I'm
like
I'm not great at putting away laundry. I'm great at doing laundry and folding it. Putting it away,
me
less
too.
good.
Yeah.
But there's nowhere for me to even put the folded clean laundry at this
Which is,
point.
and that's
It's
where I
just
am right
piles of
now.
like half dirty shit.
Yes. So, and that's part of, you know, knowing that we're gonna be making this transition.
Yeah,
I'm like, "Okay, so she's gonna be going into her room, which means all of these other things can kind of go back to an orderly way. Our
that's true.
bedroom can be orderly again, like, I can get clothes put away, like, maybe this will help me because I'll be upstairs more, it'll help me get my clothes put away so I can kind of, like, use that room again,
Mm,
and, you know, our downstairs area can be less, like, full of stuff, my stuff,
mhm,
her stuff. So I think ultimately, like, it'll be good, but, it is, like, one of those I have the type of ADHD where I constantly am cleaning and making my space neat because I get very stressed out and overwhelmed when I have clutter in my space. So, I'm constantly just, like, feeling like every time I turn around, I'm, like, bumping into something is how my house
mhm,
feels right now. So
which
I do
is
think that
really annoying. Like, it's like that
most
feeling
annoying.
of like, that's not usually a feeling that I have, but when I do get that feeling is how I know I have to clean because
Yeah.
it's like I'm constantly feeling like I'm getting my belt loop stuck on a door handle or something, like,
Yes.
even if that's not what it is, but it's like I'm tripping over something constantly or
Yes.
I'm always having to move one thing to put another thing where it's supposed to be,
I
and, like,
can't
that
reach
just
something, or
yes.
and because we're trying to, like, juggle a baby that really wants to be held a lot,
Yeah.
my windows of time to do things are so small and interrupted that it's like, okay, I can do stuff between, like, you know, 7 and 8 when he's putting the baby down, and then maybe I can do something else between, like, 8 and 9, but then also trying to fit in, like, a shower,
Does she
and
not like the baby Bjorn thing? Or are you not supposed to, like, put them in that for very long?
like, she will, like, I can baby wear her around the house, and she does pretty good with it, um, but I can't, my range of motion is so limited,
Mm.
and, it makes you feel like you're pregnant again, so you really can't, like, bend over and pick things up, and,
Can you wear
there's
her
just
on your back?
I haven't tried it yet. I'm supposed to be able to with the carrier I got, so I have to try that, to see how she goes, you know, how she likes
Yeah,
it,
because that
but
would be
it's,
great for chores. Because then you could,
be
like,
much easier to do
bend
stuff.
over, not, like, all the way, of course, because then she'll fall out the top, but,
Let's see how tight this thing goes. And I will say, we got that shark thing, and it's been vacuuming our floors, like, every other day,
That's
and it
great.
is nice to not have that, like, gritty feeling, because that is another thing that makes me just, like, wanna crawl out of my skin.
Oh, I mean, I'm in slippers year round. It doesn't my
Me too.
they're like Sherpa lines
But
slippers, and
feeling
I am in
grit
there.
under my slipper? Ugh.
I don't notice that too much,
Ugh.
but I
Can't.
do have to mop. I'll mop the kitchen today, but I wanna do the dishes before I mop the kitchen, now that we have our bucket situation handled in a way.
So, yeah, it's definitely, I think that everybody has their hangups. I think that they're hard things to do. But hygiene-based things, like your whether it's your space or your body, like, you're always gonna feel better after you do them. Like,
For
I'm gonna
sure.
feel better when I have folded laundry that's put away and I know where things are.
It really is like that deep breath thing, and,
Mhm.
like, when I lived alone, especially, we still do it to an extent. It depends on, like, when we're recording, but PK and I will still do it now that we live together, but having, like, one day where it's like, "Okay, this is the day that we clean,
Mhm.
and this is, like, we're gonna vacuum, and, I'm going to put the laundry away and do the dishes and these things so that it's all just set, and then I can sit down and, like, it's fine." Um, is very helpful for me, because then I at least feel like I have that, like, minimum level of cleanliness done, even if it's
Mhm.
not perfect, if it's not like, "Oh, my mother-in-law is coming over," so I do a way better clean because she's German and terrifies me. Um,
That's great.
that comedian that's like her German mother,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Laura,
yeah.
that is it's the funniest
So
thing to me,
funny.
because it's not my mother-in-law, but I could, like, see her doing that.
Mhm. No, those are very funny, like, and she does her dad too, the Italian dad.
Oh, I haven't seen her Italian dad.
Oh, yeah, it's
That's
very funny.
funny.
Yeah, it's very funny. But no,
Uh,
it's totally like it's one of those things, like, it nags me, nags me, nags me, and then when I really
yes.
invest the time, I'm like, "Oh, god, that's so much better."
Yeah, and I
Like, I
mean,
can
really,
relax in my space.
for cleaning, to me, it is putting in my earbuds and just going, like, putting on sneakers and then
Mm,
just going for it. If I keep my sneaker, like, or a hard bottomed shoe, like, that
yeah,
is staying on my foot, that's not like
yep,
my slipper that kind of, like, flops around,
mhm,
it's way easier for me to, like, keep moving and
mhm,
not sit down and keep it going so that I'm just doing all the things that need to be done as they get done, and doing that thing of, I don't know what episode we mentioned it in, but it was, like, maybe last fall,
mhm.
um, but the thing where you have, like a reusable shopping bag
Oh, yeah,
when you're
yeah,
cleaning, like, go room to room so that you
yep,
just take that with you, and, like, so if you find something that's in the wrong space, and rather than,
mhm,
like, leaving that room and going to the other room and then getting distracted and not
yes.
finishing anything, that is also very helpful.
I do
Um
that with, there's those, like, diaper changing
Mhm.
caddies,
Yeah.
and I now, because 'cause I was using them for nursing stuff, and because I'm big milestone, done pumping. What? So
Yay,
excited
congratulations.
that
Pew,
I'm
pew, pew, pew.
not sitting here going, "Wah, wah, wah, wah."
Your nipples
Um,
are free.
I still have, like, dreams where I realize that the pump has leaked and there's, like, breast milk everywhere, and I've wasted all this breast milk. Um, so
Oh,
now that
so
I'm
it's
like,
like a dream of wasting the breast milk, not a dream of, like, you're giving a speech and then you realize that, like, you're leaking breast milk everywhere. Okay.
no,
Well, there's at least that.
it's always that I'm, because it used to happen to me all the time, and it would make me so upset. I remember one time I was doing laundry while I was pumping, and I realized that I had, like, tried to bend over very carefully, but I had, like, disconnected part of the pump, and, like, a bunch of breast milk spilled on the floor, and I was like, "I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry." So now that I'm not doing that awful task anymore, I have these little caddies that I used to use to put all my pump stuff in. I have a couple of them, and now I use those for when I'm gonna be like when the baby's in bed and I'm like, "Okay, I have like an hour. I'm
Mhm.
gonna work on her room for a little bit." I can like bring a bunch of little things upstairs with that
Yeah.
and then put stuff away where they need to go. And then I find a bunch of stuff that has to come downstairs. So I put all of that together and bring it downstairs with me. And it's just helpful too because I'm like losing my phone less.
Mhm.
I constantly, for whatever reason, the cap to the Yeti thing that I got us,
Yeah.
I lose constantly.
Oh, really?
Constantly. I've
Huh.
left it all over the place. All over the
By
place.
the way, that water bottle you got us is perfect for the gym. I love that thing.
Isn't it so
It's
great?
so good. I can,
I got
like,
us
keep
so
my
that people can see it.
yes. Mine's in my car, but it's white and looks the same. Um,
Hers doesn't say Garrett on
no, mine says my name. Um,
it.
but, I can keep my padlock for the gym, like, on the lid, like, on the cap for it. So,
Yeah.
like, I just keep it in my car. It's perfect, and,
Mhm.
it's the perfect size for the machines that
Mhm.
it's got,
And it
like
can fit in your cup holder in your car.
yes. Yeah, no, it's
That's
a
a good
great
one.
one. You can't
Yeah.
get that on our website, but you can get a different one that's similar and was inspired by Garrett's gift
Yes.
to me for Christmas.
Yeti has like a, I don't know, 20-ounce water bottle with the chug top. And it's great and it fits in because that's my biggest thing is it's kind of like finding a way that makes it work for you. I've realized that as much as I love having a big water bottle,
Mhm.
I need it to be able to fit in a cup holder.
This
Like,
is one that I love, and I gave to, Sarah, who was on our podcast last year
mhm,
for Pride Month. I got them one as well, and, I love it because it the straw, like, it has, like, this rubber thing that comes
mhm.
off, so you don't, like, fuck up your teeth with it.
I only
It's
use,
huge.
Grove has silicone straws that have like a little another straight, but I also got ones with a bend in them,
Mhm.
that are silicone because it's only a matter of time before I knock one of my front teeth out,
Yeah.
with something hard plastic or metal, so for
Yeah.
sure.
And, but it's a great I have one on my desk at work, and it's, I think, 32 or 40 ounces, but it was like 20 bucks on Amazon. It was, like,
Mhm.
super cheap. And it's a little bit glittery. I don't know if you can actually, like,
Oh, yeah,
see.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, so, like, it makes me feel happy because I love glitter.
Yeah.
But,
I mean,
yeah, no, I love that thing, and it's the sort of thing where it's not $900 like a special Stanley mug or whatever the hell. The other thing that I was just gonna mention, because it just occurred to me, so there's, like, a saga, and I'll probably talk about it in our next Patreon episode with my earbud situation, but in any event, I got AirPods. I
yep.
haven't had AirPods before. These are the AirPod Pros. It's built into this that it's like a Find My thing, so I can go to my phone and say, like, "Find my AirPods," and it'll play a sound from the case,
That's pretty
and
cool.
yeah, and I was like, "That would've been really helpful." Because previously, I've had Beats Pros, which is owned by Apple,
Yeah.
so the fact that those cases, which are way bigger, probably 3 or 4
Yep.
times the size of this thing,
Yep.
um, don't have the ability to play a sound is some bullshit, but I
And
will
the huge
say
benefit of those because they were made by Apple is they just paired. So you didn't have to
yes.
pair anything. You could
Well,
just
and
flip them
these
open
took a
and pop
second
them
to
in.
pair, and so I was like, "Are they trying to make me buy a new fucking phone because my phone is paid off?" And, like, the conspiracy theory was, like, coming in hot, but it did pair, and it was fine. But, um and the Beats paired well too. There was whatever. Go over to Patreon, and I'll explain the saga. Anyway, the point is, the fact that these have, like, a Find My feature on them is
It's
super fucking
amazing.
clutch, and
Yeah.
yeah, I was very impressed and surprised. Also, they were cheaper on Amazon than they were on the Apple website, and they're both horrible companies, so pick your poison as far as where you're gonna order from,
Yeah.
frankly.
It's kind of how life is
So, I mean,
in 2024.
yeah, like, I mean, Amazon is what it is. It is I don't know, but, um, I still order from Amazon probably more than I ought to, but
If
because it
I
was
didn't,
cheaper.
I would collapse into a pile of dust.
There's just yeah, there's I obviously, I'm not gonna get my luggage from Amazon. Again, tune into Patreon, but there's just so much going on there, like, I'm getting PK's Valentine's Day gifts from there, um, and I'm really pumped, he's gonna love it,
Yeah, I
or
just
I'll
got
have
the
to
peel and
divorce
stick
him.
wallpaper. I just ordered peel and stick wallpaper off Amazon, for the closet, but yeah, it's, I think ultimately, coping with ADHD as an adult, it's about finding what works for you.
Yeah.
Like having a tiny earbud case might be a recipe for disaster because you're afraid you're going to lose them. So having the Find My feature might be something that works better for you where you can still have wireless earbuds
Yes.
or, using the little flossy things because or the little
The picks.
yeah.
Mhm.
Um
Oh, the wisps.
or the flosser things that have the toothpick on
Yes.
one side and the floss on the other side.
Mhm.
Using something like that or whatever it is, using dry shampoo if you need to like
Mhm.
refresh your hair or, taking a sink bath with a washcloth.
I
Whatever it
mean,
is that's gonna
yeah.
help you get through.
And I think it's
Um
also important to note, it doesn't make you a bad person if you are
No.
struggling with any of these things or all of these things. Um, and like it's normal, I think, to struggle with these things.
Yeah,
I granted, obviously I only know my experience, but I feel like even neurotypical people can struggle with these things sometimes.
yeah.
Maybe they don't
Especially if
have the
it's like a
sensory
depressive
component. Yes.
yeah.
They may not have the sensory component, but I'm sure that there's plenty of people who are like, "Man, like I burnt that thing in the pan and now I don't want to scrub it. So I'm just letting it soak for too long and blah 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 blah."
So
Also, so I have a flat glass cooktop for my stove, which requires this ceramic cleaning solution to like get burnt off stuff off of it, which is fine. But I found that I can use that in my Le Creuset ceramic glazed Dutch oven to
Oh, yeah.
clean burnt off stuff, and it works so fucking good.
I think baking soda I don't know, my spouse makes some kind of, like, cocktail with baking soda and something else if something, like, sticks to the bottom.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's
But
awesome.
yeah, the ceramic stuff where and I was like, because it was the kind of thing where I was like, "Well, this is a ceramic coating, like, I wonder," and then I just, like, washed it with regular soap afterwards just to make sure, because like, probably shouldn't be eating that. Um, yeah, no, it worked really well. I was very excited that it got everything right off my pan. But,
And I definitely, like, in the past had the tendency to be like, "Oh, I have these 3 things to clean with, and if these 3 things don't work, it's impossible to clean."
which
And it's
when
like,
I was
make your
living
life
alone.
easier and get
Yeah.
the 4th cleaning item so you
Yes.
can clean everything instead of struggling for no fucking reason.
Right. And when I was living alone, it was also more of a, um, I guess I would say I was more apt to find something that worked for me. So, like, if paper plates is what works for me this month, paper plates is what it's going to be.
Mhm.
Having a partner, it's a little bit easier to like have somebody pick up the slack if I'm like not doing something at that point.
Mhm.
Because that's kind of just how a relationship works. But especially when I was single, I would do these like half measures, I guess, um, and be completely fine with it. And I think you all should be fine with it too if that's what you need.
Yeah.
And go to the dentist. It's important.
Life's hard enough. Don't make it more difficult for yourself.
Yeah.
Don't try and wean yourself from a comfort item for no reason.
Don't be a martyr.
Don't be a
Um,
martyr.
we have enough of
Um,
them. Garrett has taken the last opening
yeah.
and they're no longer hiring.
Yeah. Garrett has to constantly ask herself why she's making things harder for herself.
Everyone has to ask Garrett why she does that.
Yeah. It's kind of like, if I go to eat an apple and it's like a little mealy and I'm like, "Well, now I've peeled the apple, so I have to eat it." No. You don't have to eat a mealy apple, just get a crunchy apple.
Yeah.
Um, so that's like the metaphor for this. You don't have to eat the mealy apple. Get the nice crunchy apple.
Mhm. But still eat the apple, like, still get some fruit in.
Yeah, the apple's still good for you. It's still
Yeah.
good fiber, for your body and healthy carbs and, all that good stuff. Um, but no, it's definitely find something that works for you. Um, and even if it's not perfect, it's progress, not for perfection.
Yeah, because the bar is ankle high.
Bye.
Bye. Good
Oh,
job.
what about we didn't do any sign off with like reiterating Patreon info. Do we need to worry about that? No.
No, that's a good point. Uh,
Just kidding.
Unbuy.
No.
Hello again.
Goodness.
We're good at this.
We're so good at this.
Remember, please, to leave us a 5-star review anywhere you can, especially if you can write out a review. So, like Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Google, all those places, wherever you're finding our podcast, leave us 5 stars because it makes us feel good, but it also helps us to grow and, do more and be more here for you guys.
And it does legitimately help. Like,
Yeah.
we've heard from people who are like, oh, I found you organically through Apple Podcasts. People who know us.
Yes.
Still had organic recommendations through Apple Podcasts. So,
yes. I've had family members reach out and say, are you on a podcast? Because they've listened and then been like, wait a minute, I know that voice. So,
we sure do.
the algorithm works,
It does.
but we need your help to make it work. The other thing is, as we said at the beginning, we have new merch at bit.ly/anklehighmerch. And we have Patreon with our extended cut and video episodes. And also they're all ad free. So if you hate ads, join our Patreon for $5 a month and get all of those benefits.
And we do like games sometimes and all kinds
bonus
of fun
episodes
stuff.
and whatnot. So
close friends list on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
So you should join us over there because it's less organized and also fun.
Yes. And if you think we're polished now, it's obviously because we are just a little bit less polished, more tarnished.
Also parnished.
Tarnished. And yeah, speaking of Instagram, follow us on Instagram and Threads at The Bar is Ankle High and on TikTok at Ankle High Pod. And I think that's it.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. So now
the real goodbye.
The real goodbye. Be kind to yourself, and you're not alone if you struggle with your hygiene issues. So finding whatever works for you is valid.
Because the bar is ankle high?
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.